I think every parent wants their child to have opportunity, to have choices in life, to have access to a quality education. Families want their children to have a future filled with possibilities, to discover their talents and true capabilities, to be brave and confident, to know who they are and where they come from, to create a life filled with meaning and purpose. Parents, caregivers, and families see into the future. They have hopes and dreams. They work hard. They want what is best for their children. They are the spark that ignites the journey.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Catalyst for Change, the 2022 Rainier Scholars Virtual Luncheon. This is the second time we have gathered virtually for this event. Last year, this community came together to celebrate and recommit to our shared conviction that all students deserve an equal opportunity to excel academically and become thriving community and workplace leaders. Today, we are excited to share how we've transformed your support into concrete efforts to advance equity in education. Because we're all gathered to honor work that advances equity and justice and seeks to redress current and historical injustice, it feels important to start by acknowledging the traditions and history of the land we are on.
Mary Lyons, a member of the Leek Lake Band of Ojibwe, reminds us why acknowledging the land is so important. She said, "When we talk about land, land is part of who we are. It's a mixture of our blood, our past, our current, and our future. We carry our ancestors in us, and they're around us, as you all do." With that in mind, we wish to acknowledge that we are currently streaming from the traditional land of the Coast Salish people. And as we serve students and families throughout the Seattle, Renton, and Highline areas, Native peoples identify as the Duwamish, Suquamish, Snoqualmie, and Puyallup, as well as the tribes of the Muckleshoot, Tulalip, and other Coast Salish peoples. We are grateful for their stewardship, past, present, and future. We encourage you to consider how we can respectfully live and work as guests on these lands with the Coast Salish and Native people.
To add meaningful action to this land acknowledgement, you are invited to join Rainier Scholars in supporting Native serving organizations. And in the chat, you can see links to some of these organizations and to an interactive map where you can identify whose land you are living on. My name is Caleb Tewolde, and I am so happy to serve as your co-MC for this event again this year. As a visual description, I am an average height young black man with short black hair, a mustache and a beard, and I'm wearing a yellow shirt and gray pants, and the classic Rainier Scholars graduation stole. I'm standing on an empty stage with a colorful backdrop behind me. Today, I'm the Leadership Development Coordinator at Rainier Scholars, but years ago, I was a member of Rainier Scholars Cohort 5. That's why I'm wearing this blue graduation stole representing my status as a Rainier Scholars college graduate. It's one of our luncheon traditions. Today, you'll get a chance to see even more examples of how Rainier Scholars can change lives. Joining me again as co-MC is Kyla Davis Nasimbi.
Well, thank you so much, Caleb. We got K and K back together again. I'm Kyla Davis Nasimbi, and I'm the Associate Executive Director of Rainier Scholars. I'm the other half of your MC duo for today's event. As a visual description, I am an average height black woman with brown skin and very curly hair. I'm wearing a colorful dress, and I'm also standing on a stage with a colorful backdrop behind me. While I am not a Rainier Scholar, my path to college graduation was very similar. I'm an alumna of Forest Ridge School of the Sacred Heart and Seattle University, both partners of Rainier Scholars. And like our scholars, I was fortunate to have a family who prioritized education and supported me to achieve my goals. I'm so excited to be with you all again this year, celebrating our high school and college graduates after having the privilege of walking alongside them for the past almost 11 years. Before we start, we've got some housekeeping to cover. If you would like to access our live captioning, just click the little CC square on the YouTube video you're watching. Speaking of which, we welcome your participation in the chat today, which you can see prominently on the page where you're watching. Also, if you have technical issues at any time during the program, please email info@rainierscholars.org or call 206-838-6679. A Rainier Scholar staff member will be happy to assist you.
Now that we've taken care of those details, it's time to get started on our paths to becoming catalysts for change, our theme for today. We believe that Rainier Scholars go out into the world and become change makers in their communities. Their 12-year journey begins with an intellectual spark and continues with lots of inspiration along the way from teachers and other supporters, some of whom you will meet today. By the end of the formal portion of the program, these nervous 10-year-olds have transformed themselves into young adults and future leaders ready to be the change they want to see in the world. We've asked some scholars and alumni to join us today so you can experience this evolution. Rainier Scholars bring students on their own catalytic journey. Our program cultivates the academic potential and leadership skills of students from historically underrepresented communities. By creating access to transformative educational and career opportunities and providing comprehensive support to scholars and families, we increase college graduation rates and empower new generations of leaders. For those of you who are new to Rainier Scholars, we thought it would be helpful to explain how our program works. Here are Cohort 2 alum Quiana Kuntz and some current scholars to share their experiences.
My name is Quiana Kuntz. I'm a Rainier Scholars alumni from Cohort 2. I have a bachelor's degree in sociology, anthropology, and a master's of social work. I currently work as a clinical social worker and a therapist. Rainier Scholars changed the trajectory of my life, and it continues to be life-changing for each new cohort of scholars. I've invited some of them to help me tell you about this transformational 12-year program. It begins with the 14-month Academic Enrichment Phase, or AEP, over 2 summers and every Wednesday and Saturday during the school year. A cohort of 5th graders receives academic enrichment and preparation, along with foundational work in cultural identity and resilience building, so they are ready to access the college prep pathways of their choice. Here's 5th grader Blake to tell you what AEP has been like for him.
When I got accepted into Rainier Scholars, I was really excited. Coming to school on Saturdays is it's tiring. Sometimes you be really tired and you don't really want to go. And then when you come to Rainier Scholars, your energy is just shoots up. You feel real happy and you're ready to learn something new. Math has always been my favorite subject, and lit, you get to discuss a lot. People at Rainier Scholars, it's like a family. They help me a lot. I am ready for middle school. I got accepted for Seattle Academy. I'm feeling real good about that because it's going to be a good experience.
Our middle school scholars stay connected to their cohorts as they begin to develop their leadership skills and applying what they've learned to their current and future lives. Here's Angel to describe his experiences.
AEP helped me prepare for 6th grade by, helped me learn to annotate, and doing that really has prepared me for discussions, especially during English class. Another thing that has really helped me also is math, because the math we have done there has been harder than the normal curriculum. I want to study architecture. I am really forward into structures of buildings. If I were to talk about Rainier Scholars, I would say it's a really great place. It is somewhere where you can learn and reach new limits.
By the time scholars are in high school, they are able to turn their leadership concepts they've learned into meaningful action and start thinking seriously about college and careers. Here's Sarah to describe how her time with Rainier Scholars has influenced her future plans.
I first found out about Rainier Scholars in the 5th grade, and I was really just excited to be in an environment that would challenge me academically. Rainier Scholars has instilled, along with my parents, the idea of empathy and leadership and a commitment to our community. Right now I'm an intern at Fred Hutch, and I actually first found out about Fred Hutch through Rainier Scholars. I want to know, like, okay, we have these great trainings, how do we distribute it? How do we make sure that everyone has access to it, both in this country but like globally? The most surprising thing I've learned about myself is just how much I can take and how much I could push through. When you have the right support system, you learn that you're able to persevere through it. My dream college is USC. I am interested in studying global health and public health. I see myself working in policy specifically and doing my best to create the most equitable healthcare system.
When scholars go away to college, they stay connected to Rainier Scholars and the opportunity to access a broad array of support. Here's college scholar Itai describing her enduring connection to Rainier Scholars.
The most surprising thing I've learned myself was the love for science. I did not like science before I started AEP. It wasn't until second summer that I did genetics was when I fell in love with science. My sophomore year, I started an internship at Swedish Hospital. I found it through Rainier Scholars. After I graduate from college, I want to start my med school application process and then hopefully get into med school. My alumni mentor is Leo Rosas from cohort 1. He has really taught me in the ways that it takes to become a doctor. That 12-year-old girl that started back in 2013 has grown a lot, has achieved things that she would have never thought she would have achieved, such as getting into college, attending a private school for high school, and also becoming a leader to not only her family but her community.
Once scholars graduate from college, they join a vibrant and supportive alumni community of like-minded young professionals. As they make their way out into the world and do amazing things, they know their Rainier Scholars family is always there to support them and cheer them on. Rainier Scholars is a forever journey.
I am so proud to be a part of this organization. The Rainier Scholars community, our students, their families, their teachers, our team, always inspire me. When we strive together, we can do anything.
In that spirit of striving, our goal today is to raise $1.75 million to benefit Rainier Scholars. We know this is an ambitious, but we believe deeply that this community can rise to meet the moment. We've done it before. Many of our donors have generously committed in advance of this event. An incredible show of faith in us. Let's take a look at where we are starting today. Thanks to these donors, we've already raised over $1 million. That's a huge vote of confidence. Thank you so much for believing in our scholars and the importance of education equity.
Our goal is to make it easy for you to support our scholars. All you need to do is click the donate button on the event page from where you're watching, or text RS22 to 50155. You can also make a pledge to be paid later by clicking the button that says Give by Check or Make a Pledge. If you want your pledge to count towards our event goal today, make sure you use that pledge form and don't wait until the event is over.
Thank you again to everyone who has contributed. When we talk about igniting the spark and love of learning, one of the first things that comes to mind is our awesome community of teachers. Let's take a look at the art of teaching, Rainier Scholar style.
The academic enrichment Rainier Scholars offers, it's about giving scholars a lot of extra work and extra practice so that when they go into their classes, they're very prepared for everything they will encounter. We spend a lot of time not just focusing on what went well, but also looking at mistakes deeply and normalizing that so that when those mistakes happen, because they happen for everybody, that they really feel comfortable talking about them. When they feel comfortable talking about their mistakes, they become more comfortable with the math in general and it becomes less scary.
Some goals I have is to get that look of my mind is blown from the kids when they go, that's what I want. And I am very lucky to have taught high school. So one of my strategies is to infiltrate these little 5th grade minds with some higher level high school thoughts. So they're not going to necessarily master them, and that's not the point. The point is to expose them to it so they can see a bigger world beyond middle school mathematics or 5th grade mathematics.
So we are what we refer to as inquiry-based structured process humanities teachers. We try to set up an inquiry typically around a question, usually a question that applies to other disciplines, but we use it in lit. The structured process is we primarily utilize an argument framework in examining a book, in discussing a book, and writing about a book. So when you look at our literature sequence and the seminar sequence up to 7th and 8th grade, and the leadership development sequences up until high school, it's a really one long continuum of background knowledge and intellectual competence.
There's nothing such as this, such as Rainier Scholars, that will intentionally, proactively engage scholars at such a young age to have these conversations, to help them build the skills, to be able to feel comfortable in who they are. Conclave and Invictus are what I consider the social emotional aspect of Rainier Scholars. So when we're looking at a scholar, we're looking holistically, not only their academic self, but also their social and emotional and cultural self. Even in 2022, even today, the program is still necessary because we have systems and structures that have been set in place for hundreds of years that have intentionally left students behind. My goal as a teacher is to say, you all deserve to be here. You have every right to be at the table, and don't allow a system or a structure or a community to make you feel like you don't deserve to be at the table. Your voice deserves to be heard.
Rainier Scholars fills a need that is really unmet by a lot of other systems. Rainier Scholars provides support to kids that might otherwise be ignored or not have the supports they need.
It's very hard to be cynical when you work with kids like this. They're also a very, very powerful reminder of when the adults do their homework and learn how to support the kids well, they will shine.
Our scholars make the world a better place. So the more places our scholars go, the better the world's gonna be.
You know, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a wizard because they could see and shape the future. The closest you're gonna come to that is working with kids. And this being a place where I can look into a child's eyes at 10 years old and have them tell me that they want to be an engineer who makes good things that don't hurt the environment or people, and then see them 12 years later be that thing, is the best kind of magic you're ever going to have.
Thank you to Sam, Liz, Drago, and Heather, and all the other teachers who work so hard to engage and excite our scholars, preparing them to be courageous learners and critical thinkers. It is my privilege to work alongside you. Rainier Scholars has worked hard to spread the importance of education equity throughout the community. We've succeeded in forging shared purpose with many conscientious businesses. Sponsors are a huge part of our success. Many of them are more than sponsors. They also host scholars for high school and college internships. Some of our scholars have gone on to launch their careers at these same companies too.
First, we'd like to thank our PhD sponsors for their extraordinary support: Affinity, Amazon, Matt Griffin, and Evelyn Rosner, and Mortensen. Even in a shifting economic landscape, many other companies have stepped up to support Rainier Scholars this year. They come from all different sectors, from tech to biotech to healthcare to the financial sector. One thing they have in common is their support of education equity as a solution towards a more just world. They've taken action to manifest their values by supporting our programs and helping develop opportunities for our scholars. Our partnerships with our sponsors are truly a two-way street. We create opportunities for both scholars and companies to benefit from each other's presence and perspectives. We take career development and partnering with the business community very seriously, because high school and college internships can be a transformational path to networking, mentorships, and professional careers. In the past 16 years, Rainier Scholars has facilitated over 900 internships for high school and college scholars. We thank the many sponsors who have been consistent supporters over the years, and we thank the businesses that are supporting us for the first time. It takes a community to support our young people, and we're glad that you've joined ours.
Yes, thank you to the sponsors who support, has catalyzed so many student journeys. In the next video, we'd like to zoom in on one very special scholar journey. We'll dive deeper into the world of Wendy Amador, alongside her mom, Alma, and learn more about her pathway to college and the decisions she's made to catalyze her own future.
As a person of color, trying to make my way through the world, staying determined and knowing what my dream is and working for it no matter what is very important, because otherwise I wouldn't be getting where I want to get. When I talk about my mom, I always cry. I think about how much she's struggled and worked for me and for my success and for my future. So I'm eternally grateful for that.
For me, as growing up with a Mexican family, it was really hard being alone. Being a single mom with a baby when you're 19, it's very lonesome. Rainier Scholars was a light that we didn't notice at the beginning. The concept of choice in schools, I never knew it existed. You belong to a zip code and you're told that you have to go to this school and you follow. But while she was in elementary school and we received the letter from Rainier Scholars, that's when we were introduced with you do have choices. It isn't all about the money, it's about the work. And besides that, they said they were going to commit to be with us until the end, until she decided what Wendy wanted to do with her life. And they were going to be there every step of the way.
I went through middle school and I went to Lake Washington because Rainier Scholars made that connection possible. I do believe that that was probably one of the biggest changes that I personally went through. I was celebrated, I was beautiful and confident, and they prepared me for high school. So I came into high school with my head held high. I think high school has been one of the most challenging phases for me, and I definitely had to work for building a community, not just for myself, but for other students of color. I started Alianza Latina with 2 other individuals, both which are also Rainier Scholars. We started the program because we found each other and we realized that we were all going through the same thing. And then COVID came, and so that was another challenge, but to my surprise, I think it was because everyone needed that connection that the group just unexpectedly came together on its own.
Wendy has changed a lot through the years. Her fears haven't really gone away completely, but she's learned that it's okay to be afraid and it's okay to be you as well.
Staying authentic to my culture and my heritage, that's very important to me. So I have to continuously remind myself how important being who I am is everywhere I go.
Rainier Scholars has been the support and the base in a path to college. And in our family, we haven't had a graduate, so it's important.
This fall, I'm heading to Brown University, and I am so excited. I'm also very nervous because it is literally as far as I can go in this country. So I'm going from one coast to the other. I will be studying business and psychology, hopefully majoring in both, and then pursuing real estate.
Being a parent of a Rainier Scholar is tough at the beginning. You seeing your child struggle, but you can't do the job for them. They have to do it, and you have to learn to step aside. They're not alone, but you're not alone either. Rainier Scholars is there.
Thank you so much to Wendy and Alma for letting us into your lives and showing our community and donors how your Rainier Scholars experience has helped open up new pathways for your future. I can still picture visiting their home when Wendy was getting ready to start the academic enrichment phase. She was so confident and excited about the journey ahead, and it brings me joy to see all of the places her commitment and efforts have and will take her. Wendy is one of many Rainier Scholars graduating this year who have exciting college decisions to make. There are 49 other scholars who are either weighing their options right now or have already gotten the chance to make one of the most important decisions of their lives. Let's meet some of our graduating seniors as they reveal their colleges of choice.
I think my younger self would be very proud of where I ended up because I never thought that an Ivy League was ever in my reach. But as high school went on and I got more involved with things and I had my grades kept up and I had my counselors encouraging me, I realized that was something that was achievable.
I think a lot of people kind of just see Rainier Scholars like this 14-month trial by fire and then everything's kind of done and either you get into the private schools you want to go to or you don't. And it's not that. You also have college counseling and then you also have just general life advice. The leadership labs are huge. I just think that Rainier Scholars is just such a long, essentially it's a lifelong process.
And I attended public schools my whole life. And so I never had a college counselor. I never had a real counselor at my actual school. It was always provided by Rainier Scholars. That's something that really helps create that outline that I didn't have. I got into the program in middle school. Before, I was really excited about it because I was this is my first actual academic, big academic program that could really help change my future, which it has. And then it was also really hard. I would say in summary, they give you tough love because they have to make you prepared for what is bound to happen in the future, but then they also want to make sure that you succeed. Now that I've kind of done it, I've done all the application process, I applied to schools, I've been accepted, and now there's an outline for my family, there's an outline for my brothers, there's a path that they can follow. It feels great.
Rainier Scholars gave us the tools to know why a college experience is important, why college in general is important, why education is important, and why learning a lot of self-skills is important. Rainier Scholars really pushes students to learn what they want in life, and then that's what motivates them to do it and go out there and change the world.
For me, what that kind of looks like is helping people, just being the best you can be. Because even if you aren't directly always going out of your way to help everybody, being the best you, people look at that and then they want to be the best them.
Hello, I'm Adriana Hernandez. I am a student at University Prep and I'll be graduating in June. And I am currently deciding between Seattle U, UW, and George Washington University.
Hello, my name is Julian Liu and I will be graduating from Garfield High School in June, and next fall I will be attending Harvey Mudd College.
How y'all doing? My name is Edward Dahl. I graduated from Raysvik Aviation High School, and there's 3 schools I'm choosing from right now: UW, Harvey Mudd, and Bowdoin.
Hi, my name is Iona Casoda, and this year I'll be graduating from Seattle Preparatory School, and next year I'll be going to Seattle University.
Hi, my name is Shauna Virabong. I'm graduating from the Northwest School, and I'm going to Boston University.
Hello, my name is Lennon Torres Marquez, and I'm graduating from Seattle Academy, and I will be attending University of Washington.
Hi, my name is Sadie. I'll be graduating from the Overlake School, and I'll be going to Brown University in the fall.
Hello, my name is Aiden Delgado. I will be graduating from the Northwest School, and I plan to attend USC this fall.
Hi, my name is Sosna Binyam. I'm graduating from the Bush School, and I'm going to be attending Yale University in the fall.
My name is Otis Golden, and I currently attend Lakeside High School. I plan on either going to Harvey Mudd College or Seattle University.
Hi, my name is Jasmine, and I am graduating from Todd Beamer High School this upcoming June. I'm deciding between Whitman College and Whitworth University.
Hi, my name is Imani, and I'm going to be graduating from Franklin High School, and I'm going to be going to Seattle University. I'm so proud of you.
Congratulations to the entire class of 2022. I remember making my decision to go to Colgate University at the luncheon back in 2013. Before we move further, let's check in again on our fundraising goal of $1.75 million. May we see the thermometer, please? Thank you so much for helping us raise over $1.5 million so far. That is wonderful and puts us well on our way to our goal. Speaking of goals, once our scholars have been accepted to college and made their decision, the next step on their journey is to succeed in their new college environments. And that's not easy. Graduating from college, especially the academically rigorous schools that many Rainier Scholars go on to attend, is no small feat. Let's meet some of our scholars who have recently hit this next milestone and are ready to venture out into the world and transform it.
My sixth grade self, I think, was very ambitious, and I wasn't afraid to conquer the world, not knowing what it actually entailed. But I think what I liked best is my ability to be able to see into my future and know that as long as I put my mind to it, I can do anything I want.
Going through school, especially when I get into middle school, and still being a part of the academic enrichment phase there, it really showed me again just how challenging Rainier Scholars was and how much they pushed us, because even then we were doing things that we weren't at yet in middle school. So it kind of kept us ahead of the curve.
I think Rainier Scholars built a foundation for me to believe in myself and know that I can do it as long as I put the effort into it. Nothing is not attainable.
And that's something I've had to really look at myself and know, okay, I need to be confident in knowing that even if there are setbacks and, even if I do stumble, you can always pick yourself back up.
You are the one who got you to where you are right now. And I think that was a really big wake up call. I feel like I started to trust myself more. You don't have to know everything. And when I didn't, I knew exactly where to go because there are so many departments who can help you and just guide you on the right path. I feel like internships for me were more trial and error of what do I like this? When I started working at Activision, I found my groove once I got onto the release management team because it was working closer with the actual games that you're publishing.
Rainier Scholars helped me get an internship at PATH, which is a Seattle biomedical nonprofit. What I worked on at PATH was a electricity-free infusion pump. I got to feel like I made a tangible difference, in the world.
Going sophomore year, I interned at Fred Hutch, the Cancer Research Center, where I worked with a lab that addressed health disparities within the Yakima community. I've always had a passion in wanting to help underrepresented communities deal with those factors that play a big role in health outcomes.
I have been able to do audit work in a public four accounting firm, and I've also had the chance to work in my school's financial aid office. You have to be the change that you want in the world, and I want to see more people in STEM because we need that representation.
Asking about why Rainier Scholars is important is difficult to answer because it's so fundamental and core to my identity now. It is an accumulation of over a decade of interactions and experiences that have all blended in my life. There are a lot of people that slip through the cracks, people with a lot of potential that really should have been able to make it.
Being able to have that support system that knows where you come from and knows what you're going through and wants you to succeed has been really great, and I think is really important for students to have.
I just remember walking into the kitchen and my great grandma was making us a blackberry pie, one of my favorite things. And my grandma walked in. And so it's three powerful generations in one room. And I will never forget the amount of energy and the amount of love that I felt. I always just told them, no matter what, I promise you I'm gonna graduate through college. For me, that's everything because I'm also a first generation student. So seeing my grandma have to leave school to pick cotton and then in her older years, go back to community college so that she can get her GED. It means everything to me to be able to now say I have an undergraduate degree in accounting and finance.
Part of what I want to do when it comes to giving back after I'm, get through with everything is be that catalyst change for other people. Sometimes you just need that person in life who has been there, has done that, and can really push you towards achieving what you want to achieve. That's the motivation you needed. That's the drive you needed. That's the catalyst you needed.
It's genuinely inspiring to see our scholars out there succeeding and helping build the world we want to see. Earlier in their journeys, after successful completion of our 14-month academic enrichment phase, our scholars enter college prep pathways at schools throughout the region. For students like the graduates we just saw, this is a key step on their journey to college. And our goal is to give scholars and their families all the tools, information, and support they need to make the best possible choices about their child's education. Our staff work closely with students and their families to find the most academically challenging school environment that best fits the needs of each student. It's vital to have school and community partners whose missions align with ours. Now, we're going to hear from 3 of our partners, some new, some who've been with us for a while, about how we're all stronger when we work together.
Our partnership with Rainier Scholars is truly that. It's a partnership. It's not a business exchange. We come together, we each have assets, we each have gifts, we each have strengths, and we each have areas of needs. And so when we thought about what was needed for us in Tacoma, this idea of this proven, trusted partnership with Rainier Scholars to do what? To come meet with our kids, provide extra supports, provide guidance, provide leadership, provide specific training. It was a no-brainer for us. Why would we not partner with Rainier Scholars?
We have a great working arrangement with Rainier Scholars where we will promise to fully meet the need of the students who come to us out of the Rainier Scholars program. And it's brought to us some of the most talented students from underserved communities in this region, and they've done exceptionally well. There's such a great reciprocity in this relationship between Seattle University and Rainier Scholars, and what we gain is just an amazing cohort of students who are going to go off and do fabulous things and make us proud, and a way to live out our mission with this community of Rainier Scholars who come to us. And the numbers have been growing every year, and they become, like I said, they become great campus leaders, and they will become great alumni and go off and do wonderful things in their communities.
I decided to partner with Rainier Scholars at this time because why wouldn't I? I worked for Rainier Scholars for 6 years, I believe, and I understood the mission. I knew how the institution lived it, and when I stepped foot in LW, it just made sense. Our missions align, how we view people aligns, how we think, help, and support aligns. We are not helping kids. We are allowing them to see their full potential.
Relationships are tough. They take work, they take vulnerability, they take intentionality. My dream and hope, and why I'm so excited about this venture, this partnership with Rainier Scholars, is I know they're committed. I know that they're not going to take their ball and go. I know that every day Rainier Scholars is going to come in and grind with TPS, grind with our families, grind with our neighborhoods to say, we can do better. We can provide more supports. We can support each child every day in Tacoma.
Rainier Scholars is invested in getting it right as much as possible, the same way LW is invested in getting it right as much as possible, always at the benefit of the student before the institution. We do this because we love kids, because we believe that they matter, because we believe that they're the future, and that, you know, all the change that we want to see in the world is not going to happen with my generation, it's going to happen with theirs. And so if we don't invest in them, if we don't make the pivots that we need to make as adults or educative environments, doesn't matter where they go to school.
Educational inequity is one of the great vectors for broader forms of inequity in our society, and the needs of students of color, and especially low-income students of color, go beyond just sort of things you can deliver in the classroom. And so Rainier Scholars' kind of holistic approach to supporting these students through their educational experience is just exemplary of the kinds of solutions that we're going to need if we're going to make headway. I think the way that we have impact through these kinds of programs is by demonstrating how success can happen and becoming a model for other initiatives.
Thank you so much to our partners from Lake Washington Girls Middle School, Seattle University, and Tacoma Public Schools. You and all the schools we work with have helped transform the lives of hundreds of Rainier Scholars. We will continue to walk hand in hand with you to ensure that they have what they need to thrive. I remember how much my life changed after moving to UPrep and the lasting impact the teachers, students, coaches, and staff had and continue to have on my life. Speaking of people who have changed lives, Joining us this year, live and in person, is our Executive Director, Rafael Del Castillo. Rafael started with Rainier Scholars last summer, and even in just that short time, Rafael's leadership has helped us move forward on new initiatives and strategies that will allow us to expand our geographic reach and strengthen the experience of current and future scholars. Kyla is going to help us to get to know Rafael better and learn more about the exciting new initiatives that lie ahead for Rainier Scholars. Take it away, Kyla.
Thank you, Caleb. So, Rafael, as you reflect on the 20 years of equity work at Rainier Scholars, why are access and opportunity so critical to our families?
Yes. Before the question is answered, let me give you a visual description. I'm a Latino man with gray, wavy hair. I have a beard, I wear glasses, and I'm wearing a blue blazer. Now, to your question, we were founded with these two fundamental elements in mind. Opportunity, because every young person is worthy of an excellent educational pathway. And access, because Black and brown children in particular face historical and present-day obstacles that many do not. Without opportunity and a champion for access, like Rainier Scholars, families often believe there is only one path forward, when in fact there are many paths forward, both in public and private schools.
Yeah, thank you. Can you talk a bit about the moment that we are in? Like, is this or has this been our greatest challenge as an organization?
During these years of pandemic and the racial reckoning that is happening in our country, the moment has met our mission. A surge of support has been sparked, and it allowed us to meet our promise. A promise to hold scholars and their families close during a time when educating young people felt impossible. More than any time in our history, we needed to illuminate that road forward toward lives of meaning and purpose. And I believe we delivered. We delivered in every single way. And furthermore, that wave of support that was sparked allowed us to emerge from the pandemic with momentum and with a vision for what is possible in growing our impact.
And so, speaking of vision and the future, the strategic planning process that we started this year provides the organization with many directions and possibilities. And so I've heard you say that we need to increase our circles of impact. Can you say more about that?
Yes. 20 years ago and today still, our scholars are navigating systems that were not built with them in mind. Their stories of success, which we're hearing today, are a testament to both their perseverance and their talent. And we're inspired by that perseverance to do more than help navigate systems. We need to be a voice for changing the game. Today we've heard from parents, teachers, scholars at all points along the journey. That initial spark in the first summer, the academic enrichment phase, middle school, high school, college, and beyond. And we've heard from some of our partners who are joining us to help fulfill our mission. Our promise, really. And today we are inspired to grow so that we can impact more families and communities while maintaining that bond with individual families. And that balance is not going to be easy. But as we tell our scholars, it's about the work, and we're going to do that work not alone, but with our partners, and we're going to take a thoughtful and intentional approach, informed by data and informed by feedback from all of our communities.
So you just said that growth and maintaining strong relationships will not be easy to do. Can you say more about that?
Well, it's a question of identifying what is timeless for us. What can evolve and adapt as we serve new communities? Two different things. Some things will not change. Keeping academics and college completion at the forefront. A focus on the whole child, because relationship before learning is a research-based mantra. We will continue to complement scholarship with mental health well-being and a deep exploration of leadership, cultural identity, and career opportunities. By being clear about our core commitments, we can preserve and honor those individual relationships. And then we can emerge with possibilities, new models, new geographies, serving more young people. And we can look at those possibilities knowing we're not going to be on that road alone. We will strengthen our existing partnerships and launch new ones. And one of our most exciting partnerships toward growth has been with Tacoma Public Schools, as we welcome the first cohort in the city of Tacoma this summer. Tacoma is an evolution of our theory of action, taking our core elements and adapting them for scholars embedded in a public school system from day one.
Thank you, and thank you so much, Raphael.
You're welcome, Kyla.
So now let's take a deeper look at Rainier Scholars' expansion into the city of Tacoma. In this video, you'll meet Jennifer Ward, Chief Operating Officer of Rainier Scholars Tacoma, Sumiko Huff, Director of Strategic Growth and Program Design, and Josh Garcia, Superintendent of Tacoma Public Schools.
We help prepare students to be on college prep pathways, and not only are they getting that really intense academic push from us, they're also getting incredibly comprehensive wraparound support. For a lot of our students, this is the hardest thing they've ever done in their very young lives. One of the things that we're learning in Tacoma is that parents and guardians are really looking for a college prep pathway within the public schools. And it is exactly what the community is calling for. So I feel like we're being responsive to the needs of the community.
I think the essence of Rainier Scholars is grounded in relationships. This idea that we can work with kids and families from the time they are 10 years old all the way through college graduation and into their early professional lives and personal lives beyond is a pretty amazing piece of the puzzle.
Even though so much of the focus is on our scholars, there's so much that's happening for families. And further, once there is a college degree in the home, the likelihood of the next generation then going to college and then the generation after that going to college increases, you know? And so to have this opportunity to be a vehicle for that to happen, I mean, this is truly transformational for families.
They can be a trusted voice, not only for our kids, but for our families to say, hey, we know what it takes for your child to take the next step in a rigorous environment, to go on that college path. We have a curriculum, we have support plans, we have awareness, and all those things come together, really weave into this fabric of support for an individual child that may have not traditionally had that access.
There is a higher concentration of Black families, of MGAA families in the Tacoma area than we have in Seattle. And we know some of that is systemic. Gentrification has pushed many, many families further south. And so we have an opportunity to truly design our program model around our MGAA families. We get to kind of collaborate with different community partners because of the incredible network that already exists in Tacoma that we're kind of tapping into to help inform that design, to help us understand the needs of families, and in particular Black families, to make sure we're leaving no one behind.
When we thought about what does it take to come into Tacoma, what does it look like? Rainier Scholars demonstrated by starting with learning about Tacoma. You got to be a part of the community. Rainier Scholars starts there.
I think one of the exciting things for me in this particular role is that phone call that I got to make to Jennifer Ward early in the days of the Tacoma work, but had remembered the kind of conversations that she was always pushing us to have in the early days around, you know, who was really impacted most by the different barriers to college graduation. How is that showing up in our program, which on the whole looks very successful and yet still struggles to eliminate barriers, especially for our Black American families.
We just launched officially last year, so we don't have any students or families yet, but we have had this opportunity to start meeting families through the different information meetings that we've had to date. Now we're in the process of application, so we've been interviewing students. You know, right now they're all over the place, or they're super quiet and in their shell, and I could see, you know, oh, this is who you are now, but you just wait. I see where they could go.
When I think about why now, it's so important to take a calculated and trusted risk. Bringing in new partners, yes, but they've got to be able to demonstrate that they're not going to leave our kids. And that commitment is so important right now when we're all vulnerable, when we're all trying to put our lives back together. Our kids need somebody that says, I will be there for you now and in the future, and no one does that better than Rainier Scholars.
We are thrilled to have the opportunity to build a thriving community of Rainier Scholars in Tacoma. There are a couple more stories from our current community that we want to tell you before we close out for today. But before we do that, let's check in on our fundraising progress once again. Oh, we are really close to our $1.75 million goal. I'm so touched by everyone who has stepped forward to make this possible today. And if you haven't given yet, our next speakers are sure to inspire you. Rainier Scholars soon-to-be alumni, Brooke, Geleta, and Roman Bactal, have flown in from Minneapolis today to join Rafael Del Castillo for a live conversation to reflect on their life-changing experience in our program. Please welcome back Rafael in conversation with Brooke and Roman.
Thank you, Kyla. As members of Cohort 10, Brook and Roman met in the summer of 2011 when they started their Rainier Scholars journey together. Their friendship has meant being there for each other from 5th grade through middle and high school, then moving to Minnesota to be college roommates at Macalester. Brooke, Roman, do you want to start with a visual description for our audience?
Yeah, my name is Brooke. I'm an average-sized African-American male with curly hair, glasses, a white shirt, and a beard.
I'm Roman. I'm an average-sized Filipino male. I have black hair, glasses, and I'm also wearing a Rainier Scholar stole, and I'm in a tan shirt.
And we're sitting in a lovely living room-like environment. We invited you to join us today because you are a shining example of the power of a cohort model. Students of color who create a community of like-minded peers with similar goals and aspirations, and who share the ups and downs of a 12-year journey to college graduation. So let's go back in time to the very beginning of your journey with Rainier Scholars in the academic enrichment phase. Tell us what you remember and what you learned.
When I first started Rainier Scholars, I was really shy, really quiet, kind of goofy. I remember learning about time management skills, learning about the true meaning of perseverance, and also picking up leadership skills along the way. I remember lots and lots of homework. I remember crying about having lots of homework. And I remember playing a lot of dodgeball during the summers. And I also remember making a lot of friends. And during that time was actually when I first made friends with Brooke.
Yeah, and for me, academic enrichment phase was really fun. It was really tumultuous. I learned what hard work really means, how to persevere, how to push through struggles when things seem really hard in the moment. Another important thing I learned in the academic enrichment phase was how important my voice is and how to advocate for myself. Rainier Scholars really was pushing for us to really make sure our voice was heard and understand how special and powerful our voices are. And I also had a lot of crying nights, a lot of nights with a lot of homework, just toiling with Shakespeare and all the other, really cool things we were learning in the moment. And but I knew it was towards something that was really great at the end of the day. But yeah, a lot of homework, I would say.
Yeah, hard work comes with a little bit of crying, I think. So I understand that you attended Seattle Academy from middle school through high school.
Yeah, so Brooke and I both transferred into Seattle Academy during 7th grade. And it was actually during 7th grade where we both decided to start playing basketball. And through that, we were able to make a lot of our friends that we're still friends with today. And at SAS, they kind of helped us learn how to perform. So I was on stage dancing, singing, acting, getting out of my comfort zone because I was really shy, so I just had to like stop being shy at SAS. Yeah.
And for me, I would say SAS at first, like I struggled academically. Well, I'd say more in high school. And like the second half of my high school career is where I really got to shine. But I was just juggling a lot of like academics, but also extracurriculars. I started playing sports a lot. Like Roman said, we were on the basketball team together for all of middle school and almost all of high school as well. So there's a lot of things that I was juggling, and it was hard to like find a balance at first. But you know, the second half of high school, I kind of like really started reaching my potential and becoming really proud of myself about the work I was doing, and kind of understanding how to prioritize certain things over other things. And yeah, like I said, sports was like a really big part of my high school career. So I also ran track starting my sophomore year of high school. And it was through sports that I got to meet a lot of friends that me and Roman still talk to this day, which is really important to us. And it was when we got to SAS, I would say that when me and Roman really started getting tight and really started building like this amazing friendship that we have now.
Thank you. So let's talk about your transition into college. I understand it was challenging. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, definitely. I would say beginning of Macalester was very, very rough in certain aspects, not all aspects. Academically, very rough. There wasn't much studying going on. A lot of late nights, not the typical college homework late nights in the beginning, more video games and having fun with friends. It was just like we got a new taste of like freedom. We were away from our families. Both our families are pretty protective, and we come from an immigrant background, and it's just like, it's a whole new experience when you go 1,000 miles away and you're by yourself. And well, we thankfully we had each other, but having each other is probably one of the reasons why we were making all those mistakes, having all this fun. But I would say that we did one thing really well during that rough year, and that was like make really good memories and have a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'd put the emphasis on fun. We probably spent more time just playing video games with each other and with our friends, just hanging out, than actually doing homework. And we kind of didn't realize like what we were doing until we got a letter from the school with the big words academic probation on it.
Oh.
And we got a little scared. And I was scared that I was about to get kicked out of college because it was like my first year, but I was even more scared to just tell my parents about what happened.
Yeah, the parents are the toughest part.
Yeah.
Yeah, my parents actually still don't really know this, so if they're watching
they
now,
do now.
yeah, it was even rougher for me, I would say. I was on like super academic probation, if that's a thing, and it was actually for me. But I was just, in a pretty rough spot. I had to write a lot of letters to the school saying why I should be able to come back next semester. We had dug ourselves a pretty deep hole, I would say. And it was even more hectic for me because I was in Ethiopia at the time when I was getting these emails from the school that, I was in all this trouble, and I had to like send them letters and send them like, reasons why I should be able to come back, and like there's spotty Wi-Fi. I'm across the world, So it was a very hectic time, but I think coming out of it, like we learned a lot, and we knew that the most important thing was that like we were both kind of going through it together, and we knew that we had each other's back, and like through supporting each other, it didn't feel as scary, as bad, because we knew that we could dig ourselves out of this hole just by being there for one another.
Well, how does this story continue at Macalester? What happens next?
I would say it trends in an upwards direction. I ended up choosing to major in computer science. And I did that because I thought that it was an interesting field to get into, and I knew that developing skills in technology and software would help me land a high-paying job. And through that, I kind of wanted to give back and help my parents and my family out, because my family's been a really big support system throughout my whole life. And I really relied on them a lot, and I just want to give back and give them the life they deserve.
That's great.
Yeah, for me, definitely upwards trend. Kind of like a 360 flip, I would say. So just to start, I decided to major in neuroscience at Macalester, became a pre-med student, so I hope to become a physician one day, and that's like a really big part of who I am now, and and the kind of the kind of life I want to lead in the future. I think about it all the time, and I would just say like at McAllister, like that's when I started to like hone in like what kind of change I want to make in the future. And one of the things that kind of helped me was my internship at the University of Minnesota Medical School. It was a health disparities and cancer care research internship, and it kind of honed in like what I want to do in the future. And I kind of learned that I want to become a physician, but I want to work in public health and health equity and working with underserved communities, making a lot of the types of changes that Rainier Scholars here is making. And I just realized how important that is to me, just to be able to inspire people as well. So with that, I kind of saw the power of inspiration and what that can kind of do for a person. And I've seen that that's like one of the most powerful things I think here in our world, is just being able to inspire someone and bring someone alongside with you when you're trying to do something amazing yourself, because that could do amazing things for them, but also it's gratifying for you as well. So the power of inspiration is something I think about often as well through my time at McAllister and from Rainier Scholars. And through MAC, I also was a student liaison to the Board of Trustees. So I got to, be the student voice for the student body of McAllister and kind of bridge the gap between the Board of Trustees and the student body, just so they could understand what's top of students' mind, what kind of changes we want to see at McAllister, how we want to make McAllister a better place in the McAllister that we envision. And then I also, something else that's really important to me is being the leader of the Men of Color Collective on campus. Just like being a leader of a collective that brings together like-minded individuals who go through a lot of the same kind of struggles, and being on a predominantly white institution and what that means to us, what we kind of want to see on that campus, but at the same time having a lot of meaningful discussions and just talking about who we are as men and what kind of people we want to be and what kind of leaders we want to be in our communities as well. So my time at McAllister definitely has went on the uptick.
Sounds like you found that voice at McAllister. So let's bring this time to a close with thoughts on being friends. Tell us about your friendship from 5th grade to this very moment.
Yeah, I would say like we're best friends, but I would say like even more than that, we're brothers. I think of Brooke as like one of my siblings, one of my brothers. He's been with me throughout my whole life, throughout all my ups and downs, and just I can't imagine my life without Brooke in it. And I think like our type of friendship is the type of friendship that'll last forever. And I think like even if we didn't see each other for like 10 years or something, we'd be able to pick up talking like it was yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I second all of that completely. I mean, it's like hard to like describe like how much like Roman means to me. We've been together through so many things since we were 10 years old. Just like ups and downs and changes and just life changes, whether it be moving to Minnesota, whether it be going to a new school. It's all been like the one constant thing that's always been there is me and Roman's like friendship and relationship. And I think that even if we were related through blood, like nothing can even make us closer at this point, just because of how special our bond is. I mean, it started at Rainier Scholars, but it grew through SAS, through coming to school early, like playing ping pong for an hour before anyone else got there, shooting hoops early, like texting each other to come over and just like share a meal, like share a laugh, like all those small things kind of adding up. They were just like, I mean, the memories that we'll never gonna ever forget, and things that we're gonna tell our kids when we get older, most likely. It's all been really special, and I think like a lot of times when you have a friendship that lasts this long and you go through like formative years of your life together, like you start to like separate and kind of move apart a little bit, especially as you grow and change. But as we've grown, like we've seen each other grow, we've seen each other change. But the one thing that stayed constant throughout that is me and Roman's relationship. And I think that's just one of the most special things that you can find.
Thank you. I think that's what we mean by not walking the path alone, ever. So I hear there's some late-breaking news. You received some job news, and I understand that you received your job offers on the same exact day. Yeah. Tell us more.
Yeah, so it was really crazy. Roman had just told me about his job offer, and like literally 2 hours later, like I got mine on the same day, which is, I mean, I don't know if that, like, I don't know what anyone believes in, but like that's just the universe. I feel like, that's fate, working at hand right there. So I'm gonna be a clinic assistant at Minnesota Gastroenterology, like a kind of a stomach clinic. hopefully gaining really valuable experience before my next path, which is applying and getting into med school.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and I'm going to be working at a company called Concord, which is a software consulting company in Minneapolis. And over there, I'm going to be an associate software consultant.
Fabulous. Well, Brook and Roman, I want to thank you so much for coming to Seattle today and sharing your truth. Oops, sorry about that. And we couldn't be prouder of your accomplishments, but I think in particular, we are so proud of the people you have become and the friendship that has taken you through the world and to this very moment. So congratulations and welcome to the core of alums. That is a powerful cohort you can also rely on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So now it is time to introduce our final speaker, and she is Dianca Lanier. She is a trustee of the Board of Directors of Rainier Scholars. She started her career in law and then in leadership roles at Nordstrom, Expeditors International of Washington, and tech unicorn Convoy. Prior to these roles, she served for 16 years as a military officer. Today, Dianca is the president of fast-growing tech startup Community.com, an innovative digital platform that instantly connects businesses to their customers and audiences through a personalized text messaging at scale. So Dianca is here today to invite you to join her in becoming a catalyst for change.
Thank you, Raphael, and good afternoon, everyone. Whether this is your first Rainier Scholars event or your 15th, I want to just tell you how grateful we are for your support. My name is Dianca Lanier, and as a visual description, I'm an African-American woman of average height with dark brown hair and a navy blue dress on today. I joined the Rainier Scholars Board about 8 years ago. And back then, I would have never imagined that I'd be standing here telling you that today, in 2022, Rainier Scholars' mission feels even more urgent to me than it did in 2014. I say this because everything that we've experienced as a nation over the last 2 years has only reinforced for me that the opportunity to educate ourselves and young people is one of the most prized gifts and responsibilities we have. Said another way, I honestly can't imagine navigating today's world, more or less tomorrow's, without a solid education and opportunity to attend college. I also appreciate that many of us are here today because a college education has made a difference to us. I know that it did for me because, like some of you, I grew up with parents who didn't graduate from college. In fact, one of my parents didn't graduate from high school. This has, of course, set my family on a solid path to low-income neighborhoods, which introduced my siblings and I to underperforming schools. And even at a young age, I knew that when you coupled a lack of financial resources with the lack of academic opportunities, this was the beginning of the end of any hope of a bright future for this young Black girl. Luckily, a spark of hope, of the attainment of education was planted in me by older relatives who wanted me to have more options than they had, and by a teacher or two who believed in me. Once this spark was ignited, I was inspired to relentlessly pursue education and graduate school education as well, just like the scholars we've heard from today. This access to high quality education, without a doubt, transformed my trajectory. Today, I'm the president of one of the most innovative tech startup companies. I sometimes catch myself whispering a quote that I once read on a good friend's t-shirt. It reads, "I am my ancestors' wildest dreams." And I know this is true, but more importantly, I know why it's true. It's true because I had the opportunity to attend college. And think about it. If we were to remove the opportunity to attend college from my story, there's no doubt that it would have had a very different ending. My story captures what Rainier Scholars does. We partner with families to create different endings to stories. I'm exhilarated just thinking about all of the different story endings that will be created in Tacoma. This is what we all are here doing together. We are creating opportunities to ensure young people have a real chance to go to college, an opportunity that many of our grandparents didn't have, some of our parents didn't have, and even a few of us here didn't have. I'm so proud that this is the opportunity that all of us here today are committed to creating for each Rainier Scholar. And now as I close, I invite you to join me today in making a gift to Rainier Scholars and an investment in transforming story endings. Thank you again for being here today, and as you're wrapping up your investments in transforming stories, please enjoy a peek into all of the incredible and inspiring things that our alumni are doing to transform the world.
That right there is the reason we are all here today. The journey that sparks growth within our scholars, that inspires them to reach their full potential and helps them transform their lives. Congratulations again to our new alumni. We can't wait to see where you go and what you will do next. Our job today was to make sure that many future Rainier Scholars alumni continue their journeys and have these same opportunities. Let's take one last look at our fundraising totals and see if we have hit our goal of $1.75 million. This is amazing. Thanks to all of you, we beat our goal. This community stands up for education equity again and again. The scholars you're supporting will help catalyze the changes we all want to see in this world.
And before we end, we need to thank the many table captains whose actions and commitment helped make this goal possible today. They're board members, alumni, community leaders, educators, and good corporate citizens. Today, you all succeeded wildly in paying it forward to the next generation of diverse leaders. We truly hope we get to see you and everyone watching in person next year.
This concludes our second virtual luncheon. We are so grateful to all our donors for making it a success and giving so generously to support bright futures for our scholars. Together, we are all catalysts for change.